Hi. Hi, my name is John. My question...
John, just relax, it's fine. Pretend we're not here.
My name is John. My question to the panel is basically, if you could remove one keyword or built-in from Go, which would it be?
So if you could remove one of the keywords or a built-in thing from Go, what would you remove?
There's not much in Go. So there's not much to remove.
So I think it's not really a keyword, but I would probably get rid of the loop labeling. Like, you know how you can label your outer for loops? Because it's always tempting to use it and it just leads to bad code. So yeah, I would probably get rid of
that. Two people clapping they're doing really small claps. Like that.
There is actually a built-in called print. So, and I think the Go team has been trying to remove it, but they can't because of Go 1 compatibility problems.
Yeah, they said that they had to, when they were writing the font package, they had to be printing things out, so they needed the print in order to do that. I don't know how they wrote the print thing, but yeah, it's that you can just literally the keyword print. It's strange, isn't it? That's a good one.
It's just a very Python thing to happen to a language, that isn't it? Really, Prince is I don't have one. I can't think of one. So I think Go. The reason Go is such a good language is because it is very minimal. Like it only had 25 keywords for a long time, and then did it only have 25? No, it was any. But any was added, and then 26. But yeah.
I'd get rid of the new keyword, and I'm not joking.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah, I always use the format where you just use the curly braces when you're declaring stuff, because, yeah, sometimes you don't want to set any fields, but why not just be similar? Why not just go for the fact that it's similar? So I'd get rid of new and else. Any other questions, then? We've got, right at the back, that's not going to happen. Hey, you're here. Congratulations. What's your question? What's
Hello.
Your name?
My name is Emin. I just wouldn't like to give an answer, but additional to the panelists, there's a keyword called pass-through. Most probably you haven't heard of that, but it is one of the 26 of that. So I have seen that keyword has been used in one of the code base, which has been developed some C++ guys. So that pass-through is actually exist in Go, and even you can't find it in open source repositories. Nobody's using that in switch statement. So in every switch statement, you can just put pass through to just go through it. Fall through. Sorry for that. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I've never seen it in code in the wild.
Yeah.
It will allow you to fall through to the next.
And the second thing is, you have said you can remove new. But it's not correct because in generics, it's not possible without using new to get an instance.
Okay, well, I'll remove generics as well then.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, fall through. Well, so interestingly, a lot of languages have the break keyword in switch cases and stuff, and you have to put break at the end of the block, or it carries on.
The most annoying thing ever.
Yeah, exactly. So Go, I think, got it right. It'll break at the block. If you don't want it to break, you have the fall through command. But it is a bit confusing, and you can probably write cleaner code by avoiding that, maybe. Thank you. Okay. Another question. Okay. Name and question, please.
Yeah, my name is Brad. Another thing to add to getting rid of the init function.
Oh, yeah.
Should die in a fire.
I agree.
Init should die in a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, Brad. What is it about init you don't like?
People do horrible things with it, and it makes my life a misery. Trying to figure out what randomly they decided to set in an init function that has weird behavior.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, there actually have been cases of open source libraries, really popular open source libraries. People sneak in an init function that does something nefarious. I can't think of the one that made the news, but it did happen in like a very big library at one point.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the init function is like a magic function that runs whenever your package is imported. And the SQL, the database stuff, actually uses it. You just have to import the package to support the various like databases. But it's so strange. It's like magic and strange. You don't know what's going to happen. It can do anything. Literally, like it could change io.eof to something else, for example. And that's completely possible. And so things like that Barnaby was talking about, nefarious. Right, does anyone want to remove something from Go before we move on to this question? Yeah, we've got some more stuff to remove.
Remove if.
Brilliant. Yeah, it just wants to write, it just wants to be certain. It's like, come on, make your mind up, everyone.
You've got switch statements. You don't need if.
Okay, anyone agree with that? No. You do. Yeah, anyone want to remove anything else from Go all the way? No, okay, good. I think we've trimmed it down as much as we will.
No one said Go routines.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe they don't want to remove it. I'm absolutely boiling. This was a mistake. No.
I can walk around with the microphone. Wait.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Ben can walk around with the microphone.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Are you recording yourself to say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy has a question.
Oh, a question, yeah. Sorry, professional. Try and be professional. Please say your name and question.
Hi, my name is Barry, and my question to the panel is, if there was one thing that you think every Go engineer should know, what would that be?
If there's one thing every Go engineer should know, what would that be? Don't use init functions from Brad.
Defer evaluates its arguments when the Go keyword does the same thing.
I was gonna say that all the stuff about the for loop and redefine it again inside the for loop to not override it. But no, the serious answer is I think idiomatic Go rules. I'm quite surprised that a lot of people come into Go and they kind of try to write a different programming language in Go, and that usually doesn't go well. So I recommend spending some time actually looking at Go, the source code, like the actual Go source code, to kind of pick up the nuances of the language, like using even small things like defining your public functions before private, like down the file, or using the single character variables in your loops. Those kind of little things that I feel like make Go tick. So yeah, I'd say not just that, but also the idiomatic Go ways in general, because that will just lead to better outcomes, I think.
Thank you, Barnaby. Right answer.
Okay, I have one, and it's nothing to do with the language. I think the thing that everybody should know about Go when they start learning it is the community. I think the community is actually a really, really, really strong part of the language. The Slack, the Discord, the Reddit, there's so many places you can go and ask questions, and there's so many helpful people on there who. There's some faces on the Slack that have been there for a long, long time, and they're always helping people and answering the same questions over and over again. It's really cool to see that. So, yeah, I think the community. That's my cop.
That's a lovely answer. That's a lovely answer. And companies that sponsor meetups like this, like Monzo.
Yeah.
That's great. Look at that neon on the side there. I don't know who Carol is, but
she's hot. Apparently.
So am I, but not, just because I'm embarrassed for getting that thing wrong.
And meetup-wise, there are meetups in all over the world as well. So if you're just visiting London and you're here at the meetup, there might be one in your home city where you're from. So it's worth checking. And if there isn't one, make one.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Any more questions? Ready? Okay, your name and your question, please.
My name is Chris.
It's like we're kneeling before you.
And my question is this. In some parallel universe, Go 2.0 was a thing. What would you want to see in it?
Ooh, what would you want to see in Go 2? Presumably the assumption is you're allowed to break things. You're allowed to break the backwards compatibility promise as well.
Indeed.
Nil safety.
LSIF.
Nil safety.
Oh, nil safety.
That's really the only thing I want. That's the only thing that made me consider maybe I should rewrite foundation.
Oh, really?
I have one that is maybe controversial. I think I would like to see expressions, statement blocks as expressions, kind of like in Rust. I find it's quite nice. You don't have to, create a mutable variable. Actually, that's another thing I'd like, actually. Real constants that you can, constant bindings rather than constant values. I think the kind of code that you can write in things like TypeScript and Rust is, it's a little bit more readable, I find. If you know something is a result of an expression, and then after that expression, it doesn't change anymore. Whereas Go's constants are kind of like C constants, where they have to be known at compile time. So it's kind of like a traditional constant. So I think I'd go with something like that.
Yeah, and that is really the reason why we have init. And that's sort of the only acceptable use of init, is if you're just setting some variables that are basically constants, but you can't use const for that reason.
Yeah.
I think that might be the only acceptable. Otherwise, pop it in a fire, like someone said. Right.
But then it introduces global variables.
Then it does introduce global variables. I would get rid of global state altogether.
Exactly. So then you don't need an init function.
Yeah, I'd get rid of global state. I see why that's in there, but it makes things harder to test. You never know. Anything can happen. It's kind of much simpler if you avoid global state altogether, and you can. It's a choice you get to make. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, Kat?
No, I wouldn't really break BC, but I would probably just add nicer enums. I'm kind of a bit sucky and go at the moment.
Yeah.
And I probably, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, array sugar functions. Like how many times am I going to have to write a for loop to find an element in the array? Like it's about time we got that. But
Well, with generics, you're surely going to get that soon enough.
yeah. So maybe some sugar and better enums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, enums would be nice. Yeah. Okay, any other questions for the panel? Yes, and your name, please.
I'm Luciano, and maybe this is controversial. Not a question, is to continue the answers there.
Yeah.
I would remove the integer data type. Because we have integer 64, 32, and what's the point of having another integer that depends on the architecture that is misleading? And then we need to convert int to int64 and int64 to int, and then we have the function like I2E, I2A, or the opposite, and then we need to do parse int or format int if it is 64, but it's always 64, at least on usual machine. So int is completely useless. I know that there is a proposal of making that an arbitrary precision type.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting, but at least there is a difference between int and int64. Otherwise, it's just confusing adding all the conversion in the code.
Yeah, interesting one, that. I thought originally you were going to say just get rid of ints and just use strings. Just like, use strings, you cowards.
Or just float.
Just float. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Just, I thought you were...
I think the tiny Go folks would like to argue with that. But Go, I guess a lot of us probably write Go and run Go on 64-bit machines. Probably a fairly modern laptop, and we're running it in the cloud. But there are use cases where Golang is going to be in an environment that might be a 32-bit machine on ARM or something. And there are use cases if you're trying to do some maybe more optimal code. There was a really good talk a couple of meetups ago about, it was like, I think it was Coda. It was like a big spreadsheet app, and they were, the guy was talking about how they're doing some really crazy optimizations on the data side because they were dealing with like, large amounts of data in this sort of table. And yeah, I think there are use cases where you want to use like int 8, 8 bytes or 8 bits or whatever. So, but I think what would be nice is just an easier way to translate between these two or three different like types as well. So you don't have to like explicitly go, oh, this is an int34, this is an int64.
But I mean, you can use int8, and you should, if that's the type that you need. But if you use int, and you're expecting, okay, I know what the max int is because I know that it's 64 on my machine.
Yeah.
And then it runs on another machine and it breaks because the max int on 32 bits is different.
Yeah.
And it's just prone to error. Sorry.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think it could be, it'd be nice if it was improved a bit.
I really want to learn how to just do that thing where you spin the mic in your hand. I feel like that would look really cool right now. You know when they do it? Seen Robert Williams do it. Any other questions? We should maybe come round the back.
Before we do that, just one very quick thing.
Yeah.
Very quick thing. Just need to check. Yep, it's off. Anyway, so anyway, let's go.
Okay. Maybe it's just not interested in feedback.
Yeah.
Second time I've done the joke. Please say your name and your question.
Hey, I'm Nuno, and my question is, what are the most interesting applications of Go that you've seen outside of the common, you use Go for microservices and web services or whatever? We've seen a very nice example today about the shell, but what else?
If only Bruno was here to do his talk. Sorry. Our mic ran out of battery.
Yeah.
If only Bruno was here to do his talk, because the project he was working on was actually a browser extension. So he wrote the sort of the guts of the extension in Golang, and then compiled it to WebAssembly, and then packaged that WebAssembly binary into the browser extension. I thought it was a really interesting use case of Golang, and but I'd imagine he'll be doing it next month?
May.
So May. It'll be a good talk.
So I think mine, like the most exotic one that I can think of was something that Ivan, who's you might know him from like other Go talks, Ivan Daniliuk, he showed me once how he was using Go to analyze figure skaters and help them improve. So yeah, combining Go and figure skating was I think the most exotic example I can think of. But it was really cool, and he actually uses it on the daily in trainings and to help people. So.
Well, what language do they normally use to?
I guess manual analysis, like looking at people and like letting them know. Yeah, he was actually like analyzing velocity and how many turns have you done and all of that stuff. So yeah, digitizing ice skating, figure skating specifically. Yeah.
With like computer vision or some kind of machine learning too.
So he's now gotten into VR as well, so you can kind of figure skate in VR, and then he'll analyze your form, I think. But I didn't talk to him since the VR thing came in. I just saw the basic one where he was just analyzing the figure skaters. There was like a little machine on their skating boots that actually captured all the data. There was like an what's the word? Accelerometer.
Well, hang on then. The figure skaters have got a VR headset on while they're skating around.
I've seen him skating with the VR headset on an ice rink, so
it sounds like
bonkers.
Sounds great.
Yeah, but the basic version, I think, from what I remember, they had some like sensors in their shoes, and he was gathering the data and then analyzing them. So
He needs to do a talk.
Yeah, I think he did actually years ago. He did mention that in one of the talks, I think.
Always need to Google it, or other search engines are available. DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
I don't know more. Is Jeeves still one? What's that mean?
We might be out of time now.
Out of time?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. More people can see you than me. So
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm hoping they would signal you.
Yeah, they let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all the time we've got for the panel. Please give it up for the panel.